at what we like to teach at INLINE as far as how to walk on a treadmill properly. Now, there are a lot of things that happen with people's individual gaits that need to be corrected, whether they use too much of one hip or one leg, or they don't use enough of another, or they swivel their hips too much or not enough, they lean forward, they dip down. All those things can be corrected as long as we take a similar systematic approach. We're going to take it down, and I'm going to ask her to place her hands on her hips. If she rotates her elbows forward just a little bit and opens up her back, and we can get a good look at her spine here. Then I'm going to ask her to lift up through her head, and that's going to bring her rib cage up on top of her body just a little bit more. And she's going to remain nice and tall. Really going to ask her to take nice small steps in which she uses her ankle and her feet to try and paddle across the treadmill. As we increase the speed, I'm going to have her take still small steps and not allow her to take large ones, which will make her lumber forward and overuse her hip flexors. We want to keep her bottom, her hamstrings, and her abs engaged, and keep her core together and keep her posture upright. We're going to go just a little bit faster. Then Heather, I want you to go ahead and take large steps now. Now let's just see how different that looks as far as what's happening in the legs, particularly in the front, and also what's happening here in the back, and the compression and all the extra up and down motion that is created by her sense of having to march and push into her legs, which is really just going to end up overbuilding her quads and stop her from being able to use her glutes and her hamstrings. So we're going to keep the same speed, but I want you to just use those smaller steps now, Heather, okay? And bring your pelvis back in line. There you go. And activate properly. So as we start to go up and down on the treadmill and take the incline up, she's going to want to hold that exact same form, and we're going to alter it just a little bit, but we'll see how this goes. So we're going to take her up to about 9 degrees. And Heather, as you're going up the hill, try and stay with your small steps and keep working yourself up the hill. Now to get up the hill, she's having to lean forward just a little bit, but not more than what's necessary. We're going to go any higher than I'm going to have her hold on. So we're going to go up to 12 degrees. But as she holds on, I want her to pretend like she's still holding on to her pelvis. That these handles really represent this. And that she should still keep her elbows open, her back wide, not overuse her shoulders, and just use the handles for balance. Don't lean into them, grip them, or allow her shoulders to rise up towards her ears. This also creates a nice lift through her rib cage, keeps her from condensing here in her lower back, and keeps her bottom and hamstrings engaged, and gets her up on top of the treadmill and prevents her from falling backwards. So let's go ahead and take those large steps, and I want you to kind of fall back. There you go. And that's an impressive gait, and it's good for mountain climbing, but not good for consistent cardiovascular activity, which is also trying to target muscle groups and make a difference really in her posture and her core strength. So let's go ahead and bring that bottom back up underneath you. Good job. Those abs engaged. Think about using your inner thighs a little bit too, and use them as a guide as you go across the treadmill. Good, and let's go up to 21. And at that point, it's going to be very difficult to stay at the very top of the treadmill. There will actually have to be just a little bit of lean forward, but she's going to work really hard to keep that pelvis in line and keep working those inner thighs or button her hamstrings and not overuse her quads, and stay very quiet in her steps. Now this becomes very tiring after a while as well. So every now and then, after a few minutes, about 5-10 minutes maybe of holding this position, or whenever your body's telling you to, go ahead and loosen it up a little bit and let your hips go back, take those larger steps and stretch your back. There you go. Let those hamstrings relax a little bit as they stretch out and work now instead of in that tight gait. Should feel really good. And then bring it back up to the top of the treadmill. Now what's very interesting is on the way down, we can actually play a little mind game with her posture and her alignment. So Heather, when I take the treadmill down on the incline. I want you to pretend that you're still at the higher incline that you were just at, and that you were sort of trapped in a hole right here, and your waistline was being held up. And the only way that your feet could then reach the treadmill is if you were to grow longer down through this part of your body. Okay, so here we go down to 18. Lots of compensation, lifting up through the head. You got it. Just let those legs lengthen down to the treadmill. Very good. Here we go to 15. Still use all your strength to stay up nice and high. You may actually feel your abs growing a little bit longer in the front. Still nice and quiet as we get down here to 12 degrees. Very nice. Going down to 9. She's still holding herself up very well. And probably when we get down to about 6 degrees, in her mind, it's going to feel like she's probably walking on a flat surface because she's been overcompensating for so long. You feel that? So when we actually get down to 0 degrees, she's going to feel like she's walking downhill. And that really, she's preventing herself from falling forward, which is the sensation that she should have had all this time. So let's place your hands back on your waist now. Prevent yourself from falling forward into your toes and keeping your hips up underneath your head, walking that straight line, just straight up and down. Very graceful. Very nice. So I'm going to bring this down to a 0 speed, and when I do, you're just going to stop in the middle of the treadmill with your feet parallel and just stand still. Good. And I want you to close your eyes. Good. Right there, I want you to feel how well aligned you are and how balanced you are on your feet. And slowly but surely, you're going to feel something pulling you forward. And that's just our natural instinct to fall forward, down, and protect the front of our bodies. But as confident, upright human beings, we stay up, keep our chests open, our fronts open, our abs long, glutes and hamstrings engaged, and approach the world confidently. Feel pretty good?
Feel great.